It was the moment caught on a kiss cam that took the country by storm. The moment the married CEO of tech company Astronomer, Andy Byron, and the former head of HR, note former, at the firm, Kristin Cabot, were caught canoodling, as they say, at a Coldplay concert. That's a big HR no-no. The viral video blew up their jobs and personal lives at the same time. Well, now, 5 months later, Cabot is sharing her side of the story, detailing the death threats she has received over her forbidden workplace relationship and the toll it has taken on her family. In an article titled "The Ritual Shaming of the Woman at the Coldplay Concert," she tells the New York Times, quote, "I made a bad decision. I had a couple of high noons and danced and acted inappropriately with my boss. And it's not nothing. And I took accountability and I gave up my career for that. That's the price I chose to pay. I want my kids to know that you can make mistakes and you can really screw up, but you don't have to be threatened to be killed for them." And joining me now, Newsmax contributor Janine Borelli, political commentator Alexandra Bauer, CEO and founder of Dolly Lenz Real Estate, Dolly Lenz, and managing director of Dolly Lenz Real Estate, Jenny Lenz. All right, lots of perspectives here at this table. All right, I'm going to start with you, Janine, because first I want to point out, I mean, we covered this story, so we were part of on the other view. So we were part of the group who perpetuated, you know, all of these stories, of course, that we saw with our own eyes. However, what we didn't know at the time was that Cabot right there, was already separated and going through a divorce with her husband. So no, she shouldn't have been canoodling, so to speak, with her boss. But at the same time, she was perfectly free to do so.
Yeah. Well, that was the meme that was buzzed around the entire world for sure, and it still is. But it sounds like she's taking ownership and responsibility for her actions. She's talking about her children and what they're going through. But no one should be under any death threats in this or any situation. That is just irresponsible.
Yeah, you know, Dolly, do you think that it's wise of her to speak out now, or should she have just sort of stayed under the radar now that people sort of forgot about it? I'm wondering if she was thinking, okay, it's the end of the year. People are going to be doing all those New Year's Eve countdown. No,
Yeah.
People are going to be doing all those New Year's Eve countdowns. Like the craziest memes of the most memorable pop culture moments of 2026, 2025.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, but I do think it's a good idea. And if I were advising her, I would tell her, just tell your side of the story. You know, America is a forgiving country.
Right. Tennessee governor just pardoned Jelly Roll yesterday for all of his, problems with drugs at a young age. So I'd like to think that America is a nation of forgiveness. And
yeah. I would think so. But at the same time, Alexander, I mean, the amount of violence that we are seeing, that at least seems to me more than ever, and the amount of not just violence against political figures, but also the amount of vitriol. People were, calling her horrible names, making fun of her appearance, saying, well, if he was going to do this, he should have at least picked someone hot. I mean, it was so evil. Yes. It was so nasty. And I'm like, where's he in all this?
Right. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's the case a lot of times, is they do pick on the woman. I'm glad that she came out and explained her side of the story, because, it does kind of make a little bit more sense now. I think I love that she thought of her kids, and she said, listen, we all make mistakes. Yes, maybe she was more in a position to, be there than he was, for sure. But you know what? Regardless, I should have realized I am a public, person, and we're in the day and age of cell phones, and this could get out there. And that's something that we all have to think about. But the violence is completely unacceptable. And unfortunately, because of, computers and cell phones, people are busy like keyboard warriors and saying all these things, and they don't realize that it does, incite violence in others. So they need to take responsibility for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, especially people who are, those oftentimes they'll have like a cartoon or something as their profile picture. Mm-hmm. They seem to hide behind whatever that profile is safely and go out and just target people, because I don't know if it makes them feel empowered. I don't know if it makes them feel like they can get at all their nastiness and hatred towards quote unquote strangers. Oh, nobody will ever read this, so it won't matter. Mm-hmm. But there's so much of that, and it really is inspired, and I think we really saw it come to a head with social media.
Oh, this week was really bad,
Yes.
right? It's dangerous,
Yeah.
you know, so the whole thing is dangerous. You start one little thing, it sounds innocent, it's a meme, somebody's making fun, it's a joke, and the joke becomes deadly, you know, really is unacceptable.
And like you said, I'm sure her kids are getting bullied. No one wants to be the kids of a parent who does that.
Oh, I'm sure, and saying horrible things about
Yeah.
her mother if they assumed that she was cheating on their father. I mean, there's some horrible words, and again, she was called pretty much all of them.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.